Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
Welcome to the Wildcast Podcast, coming to you from Wildcast Studios, with your hosts Adam Lund and Jeremy Boucher.
Oh, welcome back to Wildcast Studios for the playoff episode of the Wildcast Podcast, your unofficial voice for all things Moncton Wildcats. As always, fan listeners, I am your host, Adam Lund, and I am joined by your favorite co-hoster, Mr. Jeremy Boucher. How was your week, man?
Week was really good. Busy. Weekend was... I already forget what I did on the weekend. So clearly there was
Hockey?
nothing. Hockey. Went to the game on Saturday.
Right.
And unfortunately did not win the 50-50.
No.
Which is unfortunate.
No, the fan appreciation that wasn't very appreciative of fans.
Yes.
I'm still
That
trying
one.
trying to figure out what they gave away. I many thoughts. We'll get maybe into those at the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to wreck it, but Big Brother, where are we at? How are we doing?
So far behind.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't honestly.
The fans expect to get their Big Brother updates every Wednesday.
So far behind right now. I couldn't even tell you who the HOH is right now. Honest to God,
Yeah.
I'm probably 3 or 4 episodes behind.
Did you get stuck on Love Is Blind, or
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
did you on that one again?
Yeah, it's a good little show for.
It's a great little show.
Anyone who doesn't watch it, it's quite the gimmick.
Yeah.
And but it's one of those shows that you sit down and watch one episode and you make fun of it, but then you just keep watching them because they suck you right in. Those damn love shows that make you.
And half of it, you're like, are you actually here to find love, or are you here to be on Netflix so when you go home, you're famous? And we haven't started season 4 yet, but yeah. I mean, if The Bachelor has, I think, 47 or 48 shows now, 48 seasons or something sick like that.
This one does good though. It's
This one's at least more live. Like, it's more in real time.
the ones that
More in real time.
The one that's better is, I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's the one where they can't kiss or touch or do anything inappropriate. I forget the name of it right now, but that's actually a funny one because they sign up for this show.
Too Hot to Handle.
Too Hot to Handle. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Google.
And they sign up not knowing that they're going to be on Too Hot to Handle, and then they do this, reveal.
Yeah.
The latest season, they really had the contestants fooled, where they had Mario Lopez as like the host of this fake reality TV show, where they were flown to an island. The name of this fake show was written across a private plane, so it all looked realistic. And it was just one of those things where Mario Lopez was like, and we actually have a special guest joining us. And out, opens up the plane door, and it's Lana, the whole robot thing that calculates how much money they get to make and how much money they've lost if a couple kisses. And that one's a good one because they actually hide the fact they're going to Netflix. But Love Is Blind is fun.
I don't think I've ever seen that other one.
Too Hot to Handle?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's probably one of the better ones. But Love Is Blind is this. There's a part of the season that I actually had a pretty good laugh about.
Episode 4.
Anyways, I'm not sure which episode it was, but this couple they're in the pods and they were talking.
Yeah.
And the guy literally talks and talks and talks and talks. Then all of a sudden he's like, he says the girl's name, and it pans into her pod and she's passed out sleeping. So I was like, okay, good way to, you put this girl to sleep.
Hopefully that's none of our listeners if we pan to them listening to this show, listening to us talk and talk and talk for 36 weeks. But unlike Jim Moore, it is the playoff episode, so we're going to get into that. Don't forget, as always, you can follow us on the social medias, Twitter, Moncton Wildcast, Instagram, Wildcast Podcast, TikTok, Wildcast Podcast, and, of course, like and subscribe here on the YouTube. Let's get to some news and notes from around the queue.
News and notes from around the queue.
All right, Val-d'Or head coach and former Moncton Wildcat Maxime Desrousseaux will have a new title as he is now named the general manager of the Val-d'Or Fourier, which he's got some work cut out for him. They should have a top 5 pick to build upon, and I would
St. John's pick.
Yeah, St. John's. So
So-
they'll probably win the lottery with St. John's pick.
Tell me this, Adam. What trade was that first round pick involved in?
Cale McCallum.
Incorrect.
Okay.
Jonathan Lemieux,
Last year.
who went from Val-d'Or to St. John.
and then
St.
signed
John
to
sent
Moncton,
their
yeah.
2023 first round pick, and he ended up in Moncton.
Wow.
Now, if you go and ask Trevor Georgie what trade he
Would like to take back.
would like to take back, I can guarantee you it's that one. I had to
Wow.
I had to look back and I was like, which trade is this? And I was like, no, that was the last one I could think of because because Jonathan Lemieux ended his career in Moncton. It was I was in shock when I realized that was it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow,
that was preseason of last year, right?
Yeah, like the 2021
preseason?
Yeah.
Wow. What else was in that trade? That's
I think it was
St. John Sea Dogs.
I think Cale McCallum went to Val-d'Or in that trade.
yeah. So yeah, Cale McCallum went to St.
Yeah,
John.
But Jonathan Lemieux was like the piece,
The piece, yeah.
right? But
And
he
St.
ended
John
up
got a 6th, the 3rd from last year's draft, a 4th from last year's draft, and then this year's 1st. Wow. Or Val-d'Or got that. Wow.
yeah, and then Chicoutimi has Bathurst first from Hendrix Lapierre.
Yep.
And
That worked out.
Kind of. they didn't win a championship.
No.
We've got Val-d'Or's first from Jordan Spence.
But I mean, that worked out in the fact that they didn't trade that player at the deadline later on. They actually kept him for a full season.
Yeah. And then Rimouski's got Charlottetown's first from
Colton Ellis?
is
it that
it
far?
Biakpatuka? Now,
Oh, yeah. Biak-Patuka would make sense.
Would that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be.
I thought maybe they got Colton Ellis like a couple years in
Yeah.
advance down the road.
Yeah. So Biakpatuka would be that pick,
Yeah.
and so the 4 out of the 5 lottery picks are via trades.
So I really hope they highlight that in on the draft lottery on April 29th, I believe. Because when does that ever happen? That 4 of the top 5 picks.
Well, I haven't really.
And that's
been
kind of a
following
cautionary
it, but-
tale.
Yeah, I haven't really been following it to really know, but that just seems excessive, man. Like
Yeah.
that's from the teams loading up to
And that's what
be
happens when
winners
the Memorial Cup is in the queue is teams load up
yeah.
probably a little more than they should
Yeah.
to end up trying to – that's crazy.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty good news.
So,
That's good news for us. I mean.
No, that worked out for us, and hopefully we don't lose another lottery to a St. John pick. Now, will they have players coming back via the Robidaw trade, or is that? Do you like? I guess I should find it to see what the trade was.
Yeah.
Because usually a high-profile player like that, and of course that trade was announced long before the actual trade deadline. Give me trades. There we go.
Is this the Robidaw trade you're talking about?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I don't know if there's any futures involved in that at all. It didn't seem like a very big return.
No, so it was Robidaw and a 4th to Quebec for a 1st in 24, Val-d'Or's 1st in 24, and a 3rd rounder in 24.
Yeah. So 2 firsts and So well,
it might not. You might not get a player back. I mean, I guess you could to give them
something
their
next
first or their 3rd back just to get a piece, like a depth piece kind of thing. But yeah, now that I look at it, I wasn't sure how big that trade was because Quebec didn't have a lot of assets when they were.
Well, Quebec's probably going to be a lottery pick next year because they've
Yeah.
got absolutely next to nothing coming back.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a good building block for Val-d'Or. But again, that's not till next year, right? So they've got it's going to be a tough season in Val-d'Or next year. So they could, they could be in pretty good shape next year.
So lottery odds, we have the second best chance, and it's what, 18%?
Something like that. So there's 21 balls in the lottery, and we will have six out of 21, which is, if you want to look back and say 28, 28.5%.
20.5.
The final game of the regular season, let's just say, I mean, we could very well, let's say we win the lottery. And I guess it's kind of, we're doing Valdor report, even though we're not at the Valdor report yet.
No,
so
well,
that's
we weren't
okay.
going to have a Valdor report because
yeah, that's true.
we were tying it into the head coach.
Yeah.
So this is technically the Valdor report.
Yeah. So imagine we win the lottery. Valdor report. Yeah.
Got to get that in there. It's
we
last
go.
time we're going to
Let's-
use it.
Let's
So
throw it in.
yeah.
So imagine the Wildcats win the lottery. At what point would you think they won the lottery? Because Blainville came back to tie Gatineau on the last day of the regular season,
Yeah.
which bumped Blainville up a spot and Valdor down a spot. I mean, that's could be the difference between winning a lottery and not winning a lottery,
Yeah.
right? Like that's just the way some things happen. So maybe it's just good. I mean,
Yeah. Hopefully that isn't the only luck we get in the.
Well, that's it, right? Because with this case, it's
Because that would have put us in. If Blainville doesn't, that would have put us in third, which
Yeah.
could have dropped us to fifth, which is the last pick.
exactly.
Right?
Because
So now we can at least drop to four.
fourth.
Which
Fourth
you
is
have the
worst
top
case
four.
scenario, and obviously best case scenario is
Yeah.
first.
First.
But yeah, worst
For
case
said
is
player.
fourth, which is, I mean, fourth is still good. Third is good. Second is good because at this point, Caleb Desnoyers is the consensus number one. Like I haven't seen a ranking that doesn't have him number one, except Puck Prex, but they kind of do
Their own thing.
rankings a little differently, which is kind of good if you ask me, because if there's a consensus number one and you have the second pick, you go get whoever you want,
Yeah.
right? And it just makes things a lot easier. And I mean, so at this point, obviously the lottery's to be determined where we'll select, but our own first will be 13th overall, and the Sherbrooke pick will be 18th overall. So that's
What a wild ride from February. We thought we'd have two top 10
yeah,
picks, eh?
I know. Like it goes back to saying the individual player meetings with Dan Lacroix seem to have turned things around, which is good. But yeah, so
if you're, we don't think that all three picks are going to happen. That's you. We don't think obviously all three picks are going to happen. They're going to move some. You think they move to try and get number one by giving up a couple first?
No, that would be
Like, is Desnoyers worth that to give up two firsts and a third to
that
move
would be a
up
Roger
to-
Shannon trade.
Yeah.
This is
I'm just like, is he like, if they're going to move those picks, they're moving them for offensive players 18, 19 that can come in, and they're not going to move that splash wise to get up to number one, right?
No, I would probably keep an eye on a team like Rimouski, who obviously want to also have a say in 2025.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting because Rimouski could end up winning the lottery with this one ball, because we've seen it happen with St. John, and then they've also got Quebec's pick, which is going to be the last pick in the first round at 20th. So it's the 20th pick won't have as much value, but they can still tie it in somehow and move up in the draft. And honestly, like I said a couple months ago, draft in Sherbrooke, the Phoenix are going to want to make a splash.
Yep.
Right. I don't think they're going to want to have a draft in at their rink and
Where they wait till 18th or 19th or whatever they are.
well, they've got to do something.
Yeah.
They don't want to, again, you don't want to host a draft and not have a pick in the first round. And, it's with Ethan Gauthier, it's like a lot of players, I'm sure he wants to be drafted, NHL drafted as a Sherbrooke Phoenix. He doesn't want to be traded, a month before the NHL draft, and he wants to be drafted as a member of Sherbrooke. So I don't think they'll make a splash that way. But I'm sure they've got other plays around that they could dangle, like Justin Gill, who's going to be a 20-year-old next season, who probably was, if he wasn't a 50-goal scorer this year, he was pretty damn close to a 50-goal scorer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a 20-year-old who some teams would maybe covet and be willing to pay a first-round pick for. Maybe Moncton. Maybe Moncton gives Sherbrooke back their first-round pick in a deal involving Justin Gill. But then you have to think, we've already got Alexi Daniel, Oscar Plandowski, and Connor Trenum as kind of 20-year-olds next season. Well,
That's
no offense to those two other forwards, but Justin Gill would be an upgrade on those two forwards, right? So there's Sherbrooke's going to be up to something.
That's Jake Stewart all over again. Guy plays the Wildcat way. Guy does what he needs to do to get in lineup. But when you can put offense in, and that was one of the things Moncton, where's the scoring going to come from? Mm-hmm. Those are the tough decisions that you have to make, and kind of ties into the next set of news. The CHL Kubota Top Prospects game location was announced last Friday. It is live at the Avenir Center, January 24th, 2024. If you purchase season tickets, that will be included in your season ticket package. There was a lot of rumors on what it could be, leading right up to it, including would the Wildcats host the 2024 draft? Mm-hmm. And, and I was like, do we even have a pick in the 2024? Which we do.
We do.
So that would have made a little bit of sense, but we're going to see a lot more of these things with the success of the World Juniors. If the World Juniors comes back again, I know a lot of people thought that might be what it was, and I was like, I don't really know if I want it back that quick. And they're like, "Oh yeah, but Canada would play in Moncton." Great, I couldn't afford it. If I couldn't afford to go to the pre-tournament games, I can't afford to pay a package. If I couldn't afford a package for Group B, I can't afford a package for Canada included in it. Mm-hmm. And so, there's going to be some good prospects in this game. Fortunately, John will likely be the Moncton representative. It's going to sound, I don't want to say whether he earns it or not, but you'd like to have a home player. Like, it's not like we have Etienne Morin or, Barbashev last year. Like
we're going to have Cole Eiserman.
I had like 3 people talk about that. I thought it was going to be Cole Eiserman.
Yeah, they're going to roll. They're going to special announcement. They're doing a special announcement to say that Cole Eiserman is foregoing his University of Minnesota full ride to come play for the Wildcats.
But there should be some good players from the WHL, the OHL. I don't know if Michael Misa will be there. I think he's 1 year.
He's 1 year too young.
So again, that'll work out for the OHL because it'll be in an OHL rink. You would think when he's in that top prospects game. So
you're looking at
Maxi
Massey, Berkeley Catton from the Spokane Chiefs. You're looking at Sam Dickinson from the London Knights. You're looking at Tanner Howe from the Regina Pats. There's a few other names here. It's going to be Henry Muse from the Ottawa 67s. It's going to be a pretty good game, and it's a showcase. Yeah. This will easily be, if not a sold-out crowd, very close to a sold-out crowd. And this is, again, one of those moments where Moncton needs to step up and buy the tickets and fill the rink so it looks good on national TV, and just like we did for the World Juniors.
Yep, absolutely. The Wildcats also held their awards gala last night. Most of the awards kind of went the way we thought they would. Rookie of the Year went to Jacob Steinman, like you thought. Preston Lonsberry was a nominee. Outstanding defensive player was Jonas Tybel. Most improved player was Preston Lonsberry. I actually thought Gabe Smith might get that, but if Preston Lonsberry wasn't going to be the Rookie of the Year as I predicted, his ascension from 4th line forward to playing in that top 6 made a ton of sense. Top points was Morin and Baudouin, who Morin was the first Wildcat defenseman to lead that, to ever be tied for most points in a season.
Wow.
Yeah. Top goal scorer.
He's only 77 points away from the most points by defenseman in Wildcats history.
Like, he could get that next year.
He could have the record next year.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. Pun intended. Top scorer, Johan Loshing. The Rebecca Schofield Community Spirit Award went to Alexi Danielle. And then MVP, or Unsung Hero, went to Vinny LaBelle. Fans' Choice to Max Barbashev.
My 20 votes for Cole Bishop.
I wish they'd post the see how many votes they got. They never would in case somebody didn't get any votes. But
had to be close.
Yeah. And MVP was Etienne Morin. I kind of feel jaded. I mean, the only award we got to vote on was Fans' Choice Award. I believe we used to vote on all the awards or most of them.
That is in fact true. Yeah, I remember when we used to vote on every single award, but I guess Fan Choice is Fans' Choice. You know, it's at the Nickelodeon Teen Choice Awards. The fans don't vote for Record of the Year. You know, they vote for Fans' Choice.
That's
so,
true. Yeah.
Somebody's obviously been watching the awards, the Hollywood Awards.
Yeah, and we did not get Volunteer of the Year award. Maybe next year, we'll see. We'll have to keep grinding. The QMJHL Team of the Week, and
I will dance for an award. Like I will dance.
You heard it here first.
Like I'll do like a party boy.
Yeah.
You know, I want some recognition.
Well, I mean, the fans love us.
Speaking of recognition, the Team of the Week.
I know. Let's get to it. All right, Jordan Dumais, 3 games, 2 goals, 8 assists. Josh Lawrence, 3 games, 5 goals, 6 assists. Joshua Waugh, 3 games, 5 goals, 4 assists. Defenseman David Spacek from Sherbrooke, Spacek, but JR calls him Spacek. 3 games, 1 goal, 5 assists. Our Etienne Morin, back-to-back weeks, 3 games, 1 goal, 6 assists. And then Riley Mercer from Drummondville, 2-0, a .985 save percentage, 1.2 goals against average, including a shutout, which means your player of the week is Joshua Waugh of the Sherbrooke Phoenix. 5 goals, 4 assists, 3 games played. That leads us to everybody's second favorite part of the show, Mr. Boucher's podcast Team of the Week.
The final Team of the Week.
Yes.
I don't know if I'll do them in the playoffs because it's probably going to be the same
5
damn
guys.
players, right? Okay, so this is the Overager Team of the Year.
All right, yeah.
Okay, so a little different.
Makes sense.
In goal, we have Frankie LaPena. So if Overager would be 20-year-olds who will not be back next year. Thank God Frankie LaPena will not be back next year. You've said it, Adam, and I will add to that. Pretty happy he was traded out of the division.
Yep.
Yeah, let's put it that way. On D from the Quebec Rempart, Nicolas Savoie, a local boy from Dieppe, 5-year player with the Ramparts. I still don't know if he's U Sports committed, but would obviously be a very good pickup for the Aigle Bleus in Moncton backyard. And on the right side, big Tony Hamel for tripling his goal production compared to last season.
Took him getting to Moncton to find that offensive spark.
What a juggernaut of an offensive defenseman. You know, not very many defensemen out there can say that they tripled their goal production.
No, and you can see why Morin went that next level, playing with Hamel, getting to the MVP.
Oh yeah, just Hamel had so much to do with Morin's success, you know,
especially offensively.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it's just crazy. He wouldn't have been team MVP without Hamel.
Yeah, no, teams didn't trade. Well, teams didn't talk about Hamel for his offense. He was your prototypical. He's one of the last prototypical defensive defensemen. Mm-hmm. Sticks up for teammates that you find. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And up front, we're gonna go with Tristan Allard from Rouyn-Noranda. Ends up being the Huskies' leading scorer. I remember when we had Johnny Rocket on the show earlier this year, he asked us who we thought the Huskies' leading scorer was. We both said Bourosh. Yeah. Nope, it was Tristan Allard, who I had never heard of before. Undrafted free agent. Not bad.
That's nice when they find those. Eh?
Yeah, not bad. And of course, going to Cape Breton, we go with he's so good, his parents named him twice, Yvon. If it wasn't for him, and of course the Eagles wins against the playoffs, against the Wildcats, I don't think Cape Breton's in the playoffs. And nope. Yeah, so if it wasn't for him and those wins against Moncton, I think they're one of the 2 teams that misses out this year. And spoiler alert, sources say, do not be surprised if an NHL team signs him to a contract in the coming days. You've heard it here first, folks. And finally, I hate to say it, but Alexander Doucette of Halifax, almost a goal per game since being traded from Val-d'Or. You want to pay the price? Well, the Mooseheads paid the price to get him, and it seems to be paying off. Yeah. Let's put it that way. So I could have had Josh Lawrence on this. I didn't want to do 2
Eagles legend.
Didn't want to. Yeah, Eagles legend didn't want to have two Mooseheads. I could have went with Brady Burns on this one. The Sea Dogs new points getter. But I didn't want to make it too maritime heavy.
Yeah.
Because I had really La Pena was a Charlottetown connection. Savoy is a Dieppe boy. Hamel's in Moncton. Alexander Doucette's in Halifax. Yvonne's in Cape Breton. My only one without a maritime connection is Tristan Allard. So that had actually I had no idea I did that until I just finished reading those notes. So
the Wildcast Podcast 20-year-old maritime team of the week.
That's
almost.
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you see them the most, right? And that's the thing.
Well,
like,
that's it, right? It's
you see them beating up on us for the second half of the season or most of the year. So, well, I can almost guarantee that'll be back next season, eh?
I think so. I can do that. Yeah, I can do that.
I think we stayed disciplined all year. I don't think we went shorthanded.
No, I might, instead of doing a team, I might do the 3 stars of the week. Because picking, holy Christ,
picking 5 or 6 every week. Yeah,
a goalie and 3 forwards and 2 defensemen can be tough.
Yeah.
So I might just go with the 3 stars of the week.
All right, I like it. Let's get some playoff matchups here.
Yes.
So they're set. Here we go. Like Jim Morris said, playoffs. Yeah, we're going to talk playoffs in this episode. We're not going to get to our playoffs because we've got a guest coming up here in a little bit that we're going to talk to about that. So we'll get started in the Western Conference. Sherbrooke versus Blainville. First of all, I don't see many upsets at all.
I've got one.
All right. So Sherbrooke, Blainville. I got Sherbrooke in 4.
Rest in peace to the Armada.
Yeah.
This is over in 4.
I thought
I don't see a scenario where they win a game.
No. I don't see a scenario where they score more than 3 goals.
Exactly. I don't see a scenario where there's a game that's 3 goals or less.
Yeah. Olivier Adam you just got to be good, not great. And this is, I mean, there's the top teams. We're not going through the whole playoffs either. We're just doing round 1.
Yep.
Interesting wrinkle, though. I thought when the team crossed over, they were 8th no matter what. But St. John actually crossed over and went into 7th to play Gatineau. Blainville stayed in 8th. I thought when they crossed over, no matter the points, they stayed in 8th. So,
interesting.
Which leads us to Gatineau Sherbrooke or Gatineau St. John. Gatineau's my pick to win the whole thing. So Gatineau in 4.
I'm also going with that. Again, don't see a scenario where the Sea Dogs win a game. I think they can keep a game close. Yep. The 4th game is always the toughest to win. Cliche. So if there's a game that maybe they keep close, it's game 4 at TD Station. But I don't know. It makes sense. Yeah. So,
but good on them for getting to the playoffs after burying the cupboards in a Memorial Cup year. They didn't look like they were going to make the playoffs at all. They kind of pulled it together. And the reward is a 4-game sweep of Gatineau. But hey, they get the playoff revenue, and that's all that they care about. Victoriaville, Drummondville. I've got Victoriaville in 5. I just think their goaltending is so good. And they're a veteran team to kind of, I mean, they've fallen off a little bit since the Christmas trade deadline and into January and February. So I almost wanted to go 6, but I just think playoff-wise, I'm going to go 5.
This is where we disagree. This is where I have my upset. I have an upset in this series, folks. Drummondville have went on a heater as soon as Riley Mercer came back from injury. They're one of the top teams in the league. They were winning games. They were dominating games. They were beating teams they shouldn't be beating. I think they're red hot going into the playoffs. Give me the Volts in 6.
In 6. All right.
I'm feeling it.
I like it.
I'm feeling
it. And Wren and Shawinigan. Shawinigan, if Cologne can steal a couple, I still think Wren's got enough to get past them, but I got Wren in 6. I think Cologne can steal a couple games for you.
I'm on the same path. I will say it'll be at least 5, but I'm feeling 6 as well for the Huskies.
All right, let me slide back over to the Eastern Conference. Quebec and Charlottetown, 4 for Quebec. Just too big, too strong, too deep. 4 games.
You know what? I think Robillard has what it takes to steal a game here. So give me the Ramparts in 5.
And then we've got Halifax and Cape Breton. I will give Cape Breton 1 game. I will give them one of their home games. So I've got Halifax in 5.
Let's see with this one. Man, as much as I'd love to see an upset, I don't think it's going to happen.
In a perfect world, we get a Cape Breton upset. They place Quebec in the second round. We get Rimouski Chicoutimi winner, and we got a really good chance to get to round 3.
Yeah,
not going to happen. But in a perfect world,
I will say Cape Breton in.
You're saying Cape Breton?
Cape Breton wins a couple of games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'll win a couple of games.
Like, what?
They if they can play the way they did against Halifax in Halifax.
Yep.
On last Friday night, I think it was
like 2-1 or 3-1.
They won 2-1.
Yep.
Those are the games they need to win this series, or shouldn't say win this series, win a couple of games in this series.
Yeah.
And I think they can. You know, they've got a really strong forward group. They've got a defensive core that's they just can't compete with Halifax, but I do think they win a couple of games.
So you say 6?
6.
I just it's so tough to play perfect games all the time, and I mean, we'll see. I mean, Halifax, they brought in a couple guys that have had playoffs, but if you can kind of get to them mentally, and they played them well down the stretch. I am so glad we avoided Cape Breton. Ticket-wise, it might have been good because the rivalry was there in the past 2 games, but I will be honest. I don't think I would have picked Moncton if they were playing Cape Breton. We get the 4-5 matchup. Chicoutimi Rimouski.
Really struggling with some of these names here, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to rip through them. This one's going the distance, and on the big ice, I'm taking Chicoutimi in 7. Lavallee was a goaltender of the year for a reason. Although Harmla was 6 shutouts this year, so they're either really good goaltending or they struggle. So you have the big ice, you're going to have the home ice, which was a reason I wanted to avoid them if they had home ice. I've got Chicoutimi in 7. And this was the tougher one. This was the one I almost finally took.
The 4 or 5 is always tough.
Yeah.
But you know what? Put me down for Rimouski in this one, and I'll explain why. And I think I've said it before.
How many games?
Distance. Yeah, give me 7. Their goalie, Hammerla, he's either going to shut you out, or he's going to let in 5 or 6 goals. And I think if he gets a shutout in this series, mark my words, it's going to be Game 7.
Yeah.
It's just how I'm feeling about all this. It's going to be a series. These are division rivals. They don't like each other. Give me Rimouski in 7.
He was a goalie of record last year too, wasn't he? That upset St. John.
I believe he was. Yeah. So he's got that. Where was it? Robert? No, I think it was Hammerla.
No, Robillard was.
Was it Hammerla?
I think so. I'm going to Game 5. Game 7 or Game 5, I guess it would have been. It was Patrick
Hammerla. Yeah, so he's got that. He's got it in him, right?
Yep.
He's. I think he's got that playoff mentality. Like I said, he's either going to shut you out or let in 5 or 6 goals, and if he happens to, pitch a shutout this series, it'll be the deciding game.
7.
Yep.
I like it. All right, let's get into the Weekly Rewind.
Weekly Rewind.
Weekly Rewind presented by the local sports pub. Looking for a great place to have some wing, beer, watch sports with friends? Head to 1715 Main Street, where the Salty Sea Dog used to be. All-day happy hour Mondays, where Molson products are $5.50, and wing night every Tuesday, which is perfect for Game 3. A pound of wings and fries for $15.99, and they will host all of our Wildcat viewing parties when the Wildcats are on the road for Games 3, 4, and possibly 5. We will be there to watch the games. We're going to make it work. They have some events on Wednesdays and Thursdays. we're going to make it work. But either way, Tuesday is wing night, so we've got that bug out. I know that a lot of people have shared it, including one of the councilmen has shared it. So here's hoping Greg Turner shared it for us. Yeah. So here's hoping we can get 60, 70 people like we did in game 7 against, Baie-Comeau. We've arrived at the end of the season, another 2 of 3 victories for the Wildcats. So they finished the year 35, 29, 2-1 for 74 points, second in the Maritimes, just where we had them finishing. And they made both of our wishes come true. They got home ice, and they finished third in the East, which means, as you know by now, it is round 1 versus Baie-Comeau. We're not going to wrap these things up individually because we want to get to our playoff preview. It was good to finally see the Wildcats play the way they should against the Eagles in that 9-2 victory. I'm glad we avoided them. There was a lot of people on Twitter that wanted to play them. I don't want to ever play division opponents if you can avoid it, especially one that goes 5-3 against you in 8 games. But we're going to look back on this season, and that's going to be the difference of a lot of Cape Breton's success and where we're at is just how if we can play like we did against them in the final game and against Bathurst in that final game, we'll be all right. If we play like we did in the first few games against Bathurst or Cape Breton, the playoffs might be a struggle. But I like the way they finished the year going 8-2, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 8-2, one of the top 4 teams in the queue. 7-2-1, so top 5. Quebec 9-1. Sherbrooke 9-1, Gatineau 9-0, Halifax 8-2. Like, we finished the year strong, and we wouldn't have said that in February.
No, you're right. We were calling for some pink slips here a couple of months ago. So, like I said earlier, it's those player meetings seem to have kind of turned things around. Which, the first game after that player meeting, I think, was a loss to St. John. So we're like, damn, these player meetings ever work? But I think it, might have took a game or 2 to kind of get things going again, and it was a nice turnaround. I think we got after that loss to the Eagles in overtime, was it Tuesday or Wednesday?
Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday. There was an article in the Times the next day, Dan Lacroix saying that the Eagles haven't seen the Wildcats' best yet, and I think we saw their best.
Yeah, it scared the shit out of me though.
On Saturday. It's when a coach says something like that, it's easily some bulletin board material for another team, and with the the possibility of playing the Eagles in the first round, you know damn well that would have been up in the locker room in Center 200, and but we kind of got that monkey off our back and beat them, and not only we beat them, we laid an ass kicking on them.
Yeah, we bumped them.
It was a total team effort. Lots of positives from that game for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to see. Like, I wanted to beat them because we weren't sure if we were going to finish 3rd or 4th. Mm-hmm. We knew we were quitting home ice on the Friday, but I was like, I don't want to go into Cape Breton or Baie-Comeau or Chicoutimi or whatever it was on a 4-3 overtime victory. I wanted to end the season, especially if we had to play against Cape Breton, letting them know, like, hey, that was now, it's playoff time. They're kind of in playoff mode. Trenholm, we'll have to see if he's back. I know he took the shot on Friday.
Right into the areas.
Lower body injury. Press Lounsbury is obviously out with a wrist injury for the year. Mueller should be back. Mercier will have to see. That's what I was going to check. The old suspensions. Did we see a suspension for a dirty blindside hit on Connor Shortall? No, we didn't. But let's get fighting out of the game. Speaking of the Eagles, do you have Andrew Barrington's predictions?
Yeah, that's right. I got to get him on here.
We'll get to those. I don't know. It's tough to recap the final week when you're so pumped to look forward to the playoffs, and we're going to get to the actual season recap and everything on the final shows after the playoffs are done before the draft and stuff. So we'll get to Andrew Barrington's picks, and then we'll get into our guest.
Oh, yeah, that's right. My bad. So this, of course, is Andrew Barrington from the ever-popular Talon blog for the Cape Breton Eagles here. I wanted to give him a little airtime on the show.
Again?
Yeah, seems to be a weekly occurrence here. You know, it's not that his picks are any different than ours, but, of course, being an Eagles supporter...
Homer.
He has the Eagles in 7 over the Halifax Mooseheads.
In a perfect world, that's what we want.
That's what we want.
Like, that gives us Quebec, or that gives us Rimouski or Chicoutimi. Okay, that's the best way to get to round 3. Can we upset Halifax? They would take 7 perfect games, but that gives us an easier journey to round 3.
It's true. He also has the Islanders winning a couple games against Quebec, so he has Quebec in 6. He has the Moncton Baie-Comeau series going the distance with Moncton winning in 7. He has Rimouski in 7 over Chicoutimi. He's got Sherbrooke in a sweep. He's got Gatineau in a sweep. He's got Victoriaville over Drummondville in 6. And he's got Rouyn-Noranda in a sweep over Shawinigan. So, you know, a lot of the similar results, but one that seems to obviously favor his team.
And hey, he's seen his team play 68 games. He's seen them play against Halifax a bunch of times, so he believes in them. But instead of talking about Andrew Barrington's picks and the Eagles and all that good stuff, why don't we get to our playoff series?
View from the other bench.
All right, so we're talking about all those other playoffs, and we've recapped the last week, and we're done with that. We're going, here we go, playoff series, Baie-Comeau, just like 2019. They match up against us. It is a 2-3-2 again, which means, well, we had to bring on an expert on the Drakkar. He reached out to us asking if we needed info in case we played. We said, we don't need info. We need you on the show. So we were pleased to have joining us Louis William Gagné of the Drakkcast, breaking down the series. Louis, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm great. How's it going, you guys?
Not too bad. First of all, thanks for joining us and bringing on your info for Baie-Comeau. I guess the first question for me, these two teams played in 2019. They have a playoff rivalry. Just your thoughts as the season wore down between Rimouski, Chicoutimi, Moncton. Just your thoughts on the Wildcats taking on the Drakkar again.
I guess it's going to be a good series. Actually, I don't know the Wildcats very much. Well, as you guys probably don't know the Drakkar very much, as they only play each other twice per season. But I think it's going to be good. I believe we're speaking of a 6-game or 7-game series. I think it will pretty much be a draw again, like it was in 2019. I don't know which side the ball will fall on, but it's going to be good.
Obviously, yeah. Bringing back 2019, you know, the players are different, but I'm sure the ownership group in Baie-Comeau is the same. Do you think that's the message to the Drakkar from the ownership is let's go get some revenge from a few years ago?
Honestly, I'm not too sure about that, because even the coaching staff or general manager or even the not the ownership but the administration council is different from what it was back then. So even the players are different, but I think everybody and the entire organization is different than what it was in 2019. So I don't think it's really something that's in their minds right now.
So, I mean, you guys have had 2 of the top rookies just lighting it up for you with Malofsky, who I think he was your Rookie of the Year pick, Jeremy, and Justin Poirier, who I thought was going to be your Rookie of the Year pick. Obviously, this is more than a 2-person team, but does this series kind of hinge on these young guys? Like, how much pressure is on these young guys after such a great regular season, leading the team in points? How much pressure do you feel is on those 2 players from the kind of fans?
Well, in this offensive group, offense is this team's weakness, and Poirier and Molovsky basically are the two most talented guys on this unit. If we speak about offense in general, there are 4 players to watch on 12, and they are Poirier and Molovsky are the ones who can give the most goals or the most offensive chances. So I guess they have a lot of pressure. And what makes them so dangerous, I believe, it's their level of skills. Molovsky is a fine passer. Poirier, a future all-star sniper in this league. And you can shut them down for the whole game, except for one shift, and they can capitalize on their only chance of the game. That I think it's what makes them so dangerous. The other 2 guys I was thinking about are Gagnon, Felix Gagnon, and Isaac Dufour. Gagnon is like the Drakkara's Patrice Bergeron. So one of the best players in the league for faceoffs, decent production of 20 goals, 20 assists, about the same for Dufour, who's more of a power forward, hits a lot, drives the net a lot. Other than those 4 guys, it's thin on offense, really. We will rely a lot on those 4 guys. Definitely.
And I'm going to touch on the goaltending here.
You beat me to it.
Yeah, I just because I noticed obviously Chiarlo is the starter and Baie-Comeau.
Mm-hmm.
And last year in the first round, you're swept by Sherbrooke. You didn't get into any games. Which kind of makes sense. I mean, it's going to be the same scenario here in Moncton. We've got a rookie goaltender as well, who's going to be seeing their, his first, playoff experience. So, do you see an advantage on the Baie-Comeau side, whereas Chiarlo, even though he didn't play any playoffs, he was with the team last year and experienced the the Q playoff atmosphere. Do you think that gives the Dakar an advantage in nets?
Well, it surely helps for Olivier Chiarlo. This experience he had from last year as a backup and 2 years ago as a backup as well, right, when he was 16-year-old. Goaltender back then was Lucas Fitzpatrick. Mm-hmm. What I like the most about Chiarlo is that all season long, he's always been better and better and better and better. If we look at his last month, his stats are the best they've ever been, actually. So this is what I like the most about him. And if I can give you, I'm a numbers guy, and there is one thing that surprises me a lot about Olivier Chiarlo, and this is, I've never seen something like that. And this is a kind of an advice for the Wildcats as well. This stat is dramatic. Okay, when Chiarlo this season, when he allows 4 goals or more in a game, his record is 2-18-2. On the other hand, if he allows less than 4 goals in a game, so between none and 3, his record is 16-3-2. So basically, wow, if you score 4 times on that guy, you're almost guaranteed to win. But if you do not score 4 times on that guy, you're almost guaranteed to lose. This is like black or white situation, almost.
Well, I mean, you score 4 goals in a hockey game, in a playoff game especially. Generally, you should win, and it's. Yeah. I was looking at the overall team records this season. I've been keeping track for Moncton, and this is going to be a series. Whoever leads after 40 minutes, more than likely, is going to win the hockey game. You're a numbers guy. Baie-Comeau is 17-2 when leading after 40 minutes. The Wildcats are 27-2. When trailing after 40 minutes, Baie-Comeau is 4-28-3. Moncton is 2-20-1. So it's basically a race. Yeah. It's basically a race to get to 40 to get the lead after 40 minutes. Because I mean, if they're tied, it favors Baie-Comeau. They're 9-2, whereas Moncton is 6-7. But it's just one of those weird stats that both teams didn't, they kind of have this similar record, but it's leading after 40 minutes. And it just seems like, one of those crazy things where it's going to be leading after 40 minutes. I didn't go back and look at both games that we played, but it's just one of those weird stats that if you were able to lead after 40 minutes of playoff game, both teams are fairly good at locking it down. Jeremy went goaltending. I'm going to go special teams. The Jakar power play, penalty kill, is that aside from Chiarlo's success when giving up 4 or less, how's their power play penalty kill been all season? Is it going to be something that they're kind of worried about going into the playoffs?
In fact, if we're speaking of percentage, I know power play was 12th with about 20%, which was similar to what the Wildcats
I think we were
have as well. But their
10th.
Baie-Comeau was last in the league for power play opportunities by far. Like the team ranked 17th for opportunities on power play. They had like 12 more than Baie-Comeau. So they have a good percentage. The only thing which doesn't help their offense, their overall offense, is that they cannot get this power play on the ice as much as they should or as they would like to. So if it gets on the ice, it can give something good, but it needs to get on the ice, which it didn't do this season. Not as much as it should have been. Penalty. I don't like the penalty kill. I don't know why it's not working that well, but I think it does not help them at all. For the last game I saw, the last games, there were always they don't get too many penalties, but sometimes they have this tendency to give up the bad goal at the bad moment.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were going to keep going on that. So,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, Moncton was 10th in power play, PK. I think we were 12th in that. You guys were 13th. So it's kind of similar on the on the special teams, which when you get into a playoff series is a difference in continuing to get momentum from, getting a goal or making a big kill there. One last one for me, for the Wildcat fans, give us an X factor for Baie-Comeau that will be give us an X factor in this series.
Okay. This works for the series and for one game at a time. If I'm the Wildcats, I want to get rid of the Drakkar as fast as possible. I mean, in a single game and in the series. The longer the series is, Baie-Comeau gets the advantage because of their playing style. It's a very, very physical team, especially on defense. They are tall, heavy, they hit a lot, lots of Sherwood going on, especially from guys like Chouinard, Mercier, Lavoie, even a youngster like Alexis Bernier. Those guys, they hit a lot. You want to get to that net, you're going to pay for it. So you can beat them for one game, 2 games in a row. Well, if you play 7 games in 10 days against them, it's going to hurt. Yeah. Definitely. So you want to get rid of them as fast as possible. In a game, I said, if you score 4, you're basically guaranteed to win. Well, score those 4 goals as fast as you can. Because if you're tied after 40 minutes, you said that stat about them, the record is very good when they're tied after 2. Usually they win those games. And usually they win their games in a low-scoring scenario. For the record in low-scoring games is quite good. So score as fast as you can and get rid of them as fast as you can. The longer it gets, I think Baie-Comeau gets the advantage at that point. Yeah,
12-8 in 1-goal games, 8-5 in 2-goal games, 5-7 in 4-9 in 4-goal games. So I like that. That's obviously we want to get past you as fast as we can. If based on the way it goes, we got to play Halifax. That's back-to-back tough series. So obviously getting past Baie-Comeau early would be good. And
just one last one for me, and then we'll. It's not really hockey related, but We had the Wildcats director of hockey operations on the show about a year or so ago, and he says he enjoys his trips to Baie-Comeau because they have the best poutine in all of the rinks in the league. Are you able to confirm that it's legit?
Well, I think it is, but on the opposite, I've not been in so many other rinks. I've been to a total of 4 or 5. So I can't really compare it to other places. I think it's good. I've definitely had poutines around the league who were worse than Baie-Comeau's, for sure. But I've had better too.
Oh,
Okay.
All right.
Oh. Are you making the trip up to Moncton for any of the games or no?
I won't be able to, unfortunately, because of work.
Yeah, having a job sucks. I'd like to go up to Baie-Comeau, but we're playing in the middle of the week up there. So, yeah, man, we really appreciate you taking the time to jump on with us. If you want to come on during the rest of this series, you're more than welcome. You're now a friend of the show. So for all our listeners out there that want to follow you either next season or during the playoffs, just to kind of get another view of this series, just the floor is yours to kind of promote yourself.
Yeah, it's Dracast on Twitter and Facebook, basically.
All right, short and sweet.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Is it a podcast or is it an article, like a blog?
When I created that, I wanted it to be a podcast.
Okay.
at the time, and in fact, I got to tell you that you got me the idea of naming this Dragcast. When I first saw that Moncton Wildcast, I was like, that's the best name ever. I got to make something with that. So thanks for the name, by the way.
Yeah, no worries.
And, I wanted it to be a podcast, but unfortunately, in terms of material, I'm far away from Baie-Comeau as well. I live near Quebec City.
Okay.
I thought it was I could make something better with only articles than doing a podcast. Maybe someday,
right.
But not for the moment.
All right. Well, you can thank my wife for the name because she came up with it. I had a few other ones that probably weren't as good as what everyone thinks this one is. So, we really appreciate you jumping on. You're now a friend of the show, and we'll have you on more maybe near the draft and into next season just to get a feel for Baie-Comeau. Because I mean, if you can have other guests on from other markets, that only makes everyone's content better. So, you have a good night. And I guess
yes.
What's your playoff series pick? I almost forgot.
Okay, I'm going with my heart. Baie-Comeau have not won a playoff series since 2015. They've not always been in good scenarios.
Yep.
They were against Moncton in 2019. They still lost. But I think this is when it's over, when it gets done. So I will go for a close call with Baie-Comeau in 7.
All right. Well, you're no longer allowed on the show. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to pick with our heart as well. So, but again, thanks, Louis. And we'll chat either during the series or maybe before the draft. Well, my wife will be happy that he appreciates the name. I do get a lot of comments on it, but it wasn't me. It was all her. I think he's bang on obviously a big, heavy team. Like, this isn't going to be 5 games. This is going to be a tough series.
Look, the only way this is a quick series is if Moncton literally plays the way it did against Cape Breton.
Yeah.
Like, that was just full-on 60 minutes. We are going to the trenches. We are battling for every puck. We're winning every battle. We're winning every race. If we can put up 9 goals against Cape Breton and play like that every game, this will easily be a fast series. But I just don't see a scenario where we perform like that for 4 straight games. Let's say.
Because we've had more efforts where they don't play like that than they do throughout the series. I guess, what's your X factor going into this?
X factor. Well, it's a good question. I haven't really thought about it as an X factor, but
or some of your key factors. I guess
think
going into this.
it's for me. It's the depth. I think Moncton has the forward depth advantage. It's obviously, I think Baie-Comeau has Marshall Assard, who won a well, I shouldn't say won. He won a Memorial Cup with St. John, but he was injured throughout the entire playoffs. So he has kind of that dressing room experience that he can talk about.
Yeah.
But I think my personal X factor in this series, Jonas Tybell.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I think he's been playing some of his best hockey as a Wildcat probably in the past 2 or 3 weeks, and I think he's been, like I said, he's been winning battles along the boards and setting up plays, and he hasn't been so timid to shoot the puck. He's been shooting when he sees the opportunities, and I think he's gonna have a big series.
One of the bigger factors for me, and you brought it up with Louis William, was goaltending. I mean, both goalies haven't had any playoff experience. Now, Chiarlo has had been part of a playoff series. I mean, if Steinman can, I don't necessarily think he has to stand on his head to steal games. I think he can play the way he's been playing. He'll be just fine. That'll be big if he can play the way he's capable of. We'll be good. He's got to keep us in these things. My X factor is the two guys with championship experience in Baudouin and Trenholm winning the Memorial Cup. This is where you were brought in for this moment, and I think Trenholm will be the bigger X factor of the two, because he just does the little things and the gritty things. And on that third line with, I think it was Tybell and Daniel, for most of the last month or so, they've had a good connection. I think Connor Trenholm will be a big difference in this series. He's fast. He's physical. He plays in the trenches, and I think if he can have a good series, kind of helping shut down Poirier and Malofsky, because they're like he said, if they're going, they're gonna be good. If you can shut them down, you have a good chance. So, sets up pretty easy. Just score 5 goals a game and we're fine.
Yeah, let's do it.
5 goals a game and lead after 40 minutes, we're fine. What more do you need, right?
Yep.
So what do you got? What do you got for the series?
For me?
Yeah. We got to pick this one.
Oh, we never picked this
No,
one.
we waited till the end. I wanted to get his prediction and
you're right.
ours.
I think the consensus, what I've seen is Moncton in 6.
Yeah.
Which is kind of where I'm going with it too. I think we'll. I think Moncton will win both games on home ice, and then probably drop a couple in Baie-Comeau.
Yeah, you cannot, like, these 2-3-2s are tough, because if you split, they might not be coming back, right?
That's it. So,
and they've had, I mean, we were 1-1. What are we in the last 5 years? Oh, perfect. Moncton was 4-4. The last 5 years, like, these teams have split everything. At Moncton, Baie-Comeau's undefeated, and in Baie-Comeau, Moncton's undefeated. So
yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
I think Moncton will win. I think they'll win both games on home ice, and then probably win one in Baie-Comeau and drop a couple, and then probably win in 6. That's how I see it ending up here.
Yeah. I've got 6. I have them splitting, like winning game 1, losing game 2, because it's always tough to play that back to back, and then going up there, getting 2 of those, and then coming home and finishing this thing off in 6, and then hopefully Andrew Barrington's right, and we get to take on Rimouski or Chicoutimi. But I feel like, I've said it to a couple people, this just feels like 2019, where we're gonna beat Baie-Comeau and we're going to run into a very stacked Halifax team.
Yeah, it's
in the second. I don't know if we'll get swept again, but the way 2023 has gone, it feels like that. But maybe it's 2019. We got Baie-Comeau guy on. Maybe the next series we'll have the Herdcast on if they're kicking back now. By that time,
they are winning, so maybe their show comes back.
Yeah,
right?
No, that's kind of how this works. But yeah, let's. We got to get through Baie-Comeau before we can even talk about talking to the Herdcast and having that show. But let's get to everyone's favorite part of the show.
Eric Murray, realtor, buy a house from him. Stick tap of the week.
All right, I'm going to prop this up because it's only 2 weeks away.
And it leads right into the interview question.
That's true.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Exactly. So Greater Moncton Poutine Week is back. It will run from April 13th to the 23rd. So we got a 10-day span there. And I think this is the biggest one there's ever going to be. There's going to be over 50. That's 50 different poutines.
Wow.
Now, look, if there's someone that can get through all 50 in 10 days.
This one you can do?
Look, I don't want to be your heart doctor. That's going to be tough on the arteries, tough on the belly. But, the usuals are there. Cheers, Classic Burger, Chris Rock. You got Five Bridges, Hub City Pub, Jean's Restaurant, Kelsey's. But there's some here that are deluxe French fries will be there. Dixie Lee will be there. You've got Meza Lebanese cuisine. You've got.
I would guess that Meza's gonna be like a butter chicken.
Meza's like a
Lebanese restaurant.
Greek,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe not. I know they have butter chicken there.
Spruce and Iron. I don't know where Spruce and Iron is.
Seems like a golf course.
Yeah. But it's going to be, it looks pretty good. There's a few pictures already up on their Facebook page. Like this one here, which is a dessert poutine, which I'll absolutely not eat. Cinnamon Toast Crunch poutine. That does not sound very pleasant. No. But then there's a Fox and Hounds doing a breakfast one with pan fries, scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage, cheese curds, smothered in hollandaise sauce. That's got my name written all over it. Yeah. You've got Spruce and Iron, which is at Moncton Golf and Country Club. Sweet Louisiana chicken poutine. Again, that's got my name written all over it. There's gonna be lots of variety. I'm not looking forward to dessert poutines. There's no such thing as dessert poutines, in my opinion.
Wonder if the local's going to have any of those for games.
Well, there's
for viewing parties.
There's East Coast Kitchen Group is listed on there,
so they'll probably have that for games 3 and 4. You can join in on Poutine Week.
There you go. 3 and 4 will not be the
when
13th.
Does it start?
The 13th. It starts.
Oh no, that'll be round 2.
Yeah,
if we
round
get there.
2 against Rimouski.
The Stick Tap of the Week, sponsored by Eric Murray Real Estate with the RE/MAX Avante team. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Greater Moncton or surrounding area, make sure to check him out on social media or give him a call at 506-863-8802.
That brings us to the Wildcat of the Week, presented by Rosemary Lynn Massage and Spa this month. So basically 3 more days. You save 25% when you book a mani and pedi on the same day, as well as a 20% off the facials. And going into next month, I just got to find it here. It is their birthday month. So everyone that books an appointment in April, their name will go into a draw to win a gift basket with $450 worth of stuff. So if you want to get your name in that starting in April, you can give them a call at 506-830-1224 or drop in for a visit at 1224 Mountain Road and use your loyalty card that you probably already have. But yeah, they also have the loyalty card. The Wildcat of the Week, I mean, this one is fairly standard. It happens every year. It goes out to the 320-year-olds who will finish their career with the Wildcats. All 3 players have had impacts throughout the year. Baudouin is tied for the lead in points with 72. Hamel on the back end is an offensive juggernaut, as Jeremy talked about earlier. And LaBelle, I mean, he's come in with not much fanfare 2 years ago as a free agent and has been the top center for 2 years, just driving the offense. So obviously their impacts will be felt as we go through the playoffs with Baudouin having the success with Shawinigan last year. And these 3 are going to be counted on, and they're going to be tough to replace. You top line centers don't fall off the bus onto your lineup every year. So
just gotta find another free agent.
Yep. Yeah, and Wildcats have had a pretty good track record of bringing top free agents. So your Wildcat of the Week goes to Charles Baudouin, Anthony Hamel, and Vincent LaBelle. Playoffs are here. We open up this Friday at Baie-Comeau. The first,
not at Baie-Comeau.
First is Baie-Comeau. Jeez.
And
playoffs are here.
Suck. Get your tickets.
Yeah, first home series since 2016.
Man.
I mean,
empty so far.
And that's the problem. Season tickets, you should get the first round of the playoffs included in that. Because all the businesses that buy up your season tickets, they now got nothing People don't want to spend $23 a game. It's $40 in Regina, eh? A ticket. It's $37 plus Ticketmaster's garbage.
Experience Regina.
Yeah, like I was looking, I saw the games 3 and 4, and I clicked on the ticket. It was $41. I was like, you got to be kidding me. They gotta do something. Whether it's give it away to schools, give it away to kids. Like we have a Friday night game 1 playoff game, and it might look like a game in the middle of November when it's minus 20 outside. Like, figure this out, Moncton. I mean, if you didn't follow us basically until Tuesday, you wouldn't know the Wildcats were in the playoffs. You look at Sherbrooke's social media, they were doing radio interviews today. They were doing all kinds of stuff. If you want people to buy tickets, you have to promote the team being in the playoffs. You can't just wait for us to do it for free. You have to promote that team. Get them out, get the word out. I've said it a few times. Moncton is a fair weather city. They want to show up when they're winning. Well, guess what? We're winning. We're hosting a playoff series. Promote the team. Let's go. The series will shift to Baie-Comeau for game 3 and 4, possibly 5. We will be at the local sports pub, so come down and join us. Don't forget to vote for our wonderful sponsors from now until June 1st on moncton.communityvotes.com, Antlers Whiskey Lounge, Eric Murray Realty, and Rosemary Massage and Spa. Enjoy the playoffs. We will be back next week. The show's going to be kind of different days because if we come out next Wednesday, Game 3 will already be taking place. So we're going to try and put it out in between Game 2 and 3. And go to our live Instagram. Myself and Kevin Barrett will do quick little post-game or pre-game shows. We will be on every post-game throughout the playoffs. For Jeremy, I'm Adam. See you later.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wildcast Podcast. Follow us on social media at Moncton Wildcast.